Can I tell you a boring story? I'm trying to be realistic. People often say that thing where they're like, oh my God, can I tell you a funny story? Or, oh, dude, the funniest thing happened. I gotta tell you. And oftentimes I feel like they set themselves up for failure. They set this high expectation. I feel like they've already put themselves in a losing position. Because now, if they're funny, which I feel like is a hard thing to achieve, if they're funny, that is just meeting expectations. Whereas if you come into a conversation or a story you're about to tell and you say, this is going to be very boring, nothing exciting happens, and then something, maybe there's a little blip of excitement, then wow, you've shot over your expectations, right? You've overperformed. So that's why you got to remember, aim low, and then you'll always be good. Set your expectations low and whatever. This week, I was making eggs in my kitchen, sunny side up eggs, and it was early in the morning, first thing in the morning, and so I had my work laptop in the kitchen with me, just in case anyone IMs me or emails me, I can, I can attend to that. And so rarely, right, do I get messaged or emailed because it's early in the morning, right? People have lives, they're still waking up. But I did get an IM, that pesky Teams message, ding, in the corner. And so I go over there, and yeah, a guy I don't really work with, really ever, but he IM'd me. And he hit me with the classic IM question mark. And I was like, halfway into making my egg, but it's like almost done. So I turned the heat on low. And I'm like, let me just take care of this before I dip into my egg. Because I could finish off the egg, right? Plate it, but then it'd be getting cold. So I turned it on low heat. I was like, let's just let that do its thing while I talk to this gentleman. So I respond to him immediately within the minute, and I say, yeah, sure. But then it becomes a waiting game. He doesn't respond. He doesn't even read the message. They have the read receipts on Microsoft Teams. He's not even looking at the message, but his availability, right? It's green. His status is green. That means he's at his computer. So he reached out. He was like, I am. I was like, yeah, sure. And then he disappeared. And he was gone for 8 minutes. And then at 8 minutes, this whole time, I'm wondering, should I get back to my egg? Maybe he found the answer he was looking for, so he's not actually going to reach it back out to me. Maybe I can get back to my egg and have my morning. But then, yeah, 8 minutes later, he just calls me. And then we have our conversation, and then, it ends. But I was like, that was inappropriate. He shouldn't have done that. That was fucked up. It made me sick to my stomach, I tell you. It's no etiquette. And this is a great segue because I am sick, literally. This is going to be a short episode because I'm not in a good way. If there is not somehow snot running down my nose at some point in this, then I don't know. I guess I'm getting better. But no, I'm sick. I started getting sick a couple days ago, and then yesterday I was in the throes of it. I think they're still throwing me around today too. But yesterday it was that feeling where you feel like there's someone blocking the back of your nostrils and there's a little tickle inside your throat and you're like, oh, fuck. Getting sick, I don't know why, but whenever that feeling happens, you're like, oh man, this feels like I'm going to have a hard conversation with my body. Because we have to do it, right? We have to get sick. We're too deep in where I can tell, oh my God, I'm going to get sick. And so it's going to be uncomfortable, but I have to get through it. So it feels like having a hard conversation, right? So I'm in the middle of that conversation and I'm not loving it, right? My body said, I am, question mark. I was like, yeah, sure. And then it fucked me up. I should be eating eggs right now. But instead I got a headache for no reason. Sometimes, I don't know, do you have long hair? I have longer than, I'm more on the long side than you would say short. So sometimes, right, you shake your head to kind of get your hair out of your face if it is. I tried to do that earlier today. I felt like I almost broke my neck. Whatever that thing, right, that your brain connects to your spine or whatever the fuck, whatever that thing is, right, that connection, I don't know what it's called, what, fallopian tube, I don't know, but that, it hurt, and I was like, if I shake even a little bit too hard, I'm like, this is gonna detach, just from a little head shake, too much. But I am sick, I'm in the middle of this conversation, and I don't like it. Good review, Gauruv. We were wondering, when you said you were sick, we were like, I wonder if he likes it or doesn't like it. So it's good to see that you don't like it. Great job, man. But I tried to make myself feel better yesterday, right? I could feel every hour I was getting worse and worse. I was like, well, let me try to relax, right? That's what your body wants to do when you're sick. So I was like, let me put on a comedy movie. And so I was searching Google, I was like, popular comedy movies to watch. And then I was reminded that, oh yeah, Tim Robinson made a new movie kind of recently. I think it's about a couple months old at this point, but it's called Friendship. I was like, oh, I remember the trailer for this movie. I was like, oh, this should be a good one. It's a comedy. I've seen a lot of Tim Robinson's other stuff. I'm like, this sounds like what my body could need right now. That shit fucked me up. I could feel myself getting sicker and sicker throughout the movie. Loved the movie, good movie, but it was too heavy. It was like if you ever have a sore throat and you try to eat Takis or like hot Cheetos. What the fuck are you doing? Like, that's what happened. That movie was like hot Cheetos to my sore throat because my body couldn't handle it. I wasn't in the state to do that. And so throughout the movie, it was just a little heavy. It was too much for my weak body to hold up emotionally. It made my skin crawl at certain points. There was a point in the movie, I won't spoil anything, but I was like, oh, is he going to go full tilt and this is going to be like a horror movie? And in a way, it was. By the time you get to the end of it, you're like, oh, that kind of scared me. But, it talks a lot, again, the movie's about friendships, and it talks about, like male friendships, how awkward they are as you get older, like how rare it is to have them, all that stuff. And it made me realize, I'm like, friendships are too much. They're overrated, I know jokingly that's what his character says, I believe, right? Friendships are a bad thing. They can only harm you or something like that. But I think that's true. Because I think the reason I got sick, I didn't even like do anything these past few days, right? I didn't even really see anyone in real life. But these past 3 weeks, I've been doing nothing but socializing. Too much. I've done more socializing in the past 3 weeks than I've done in this entire calendar year. And I think it's caught up to my body. My body's now forcibly putting me in timeout. It's like, hey, you gotta fucking calm down, alright? Go sit on that bench and cool off. Because you're doing too much out here. And I agree with it. I don't agree with what I've been doing these past 3 weeks. I've done, if I can remember off the top of my head, I think like 4 dinners, 3 hangouts, a couple game nights online, a couple calls with friends. It's too much. Remember when I went to Greece a month ago or whatever? And I said, oh yeah, before that trip, I hadn't seen a single person outside of work or my family for 2 months. And that caught up to me. But now I went too far the other way. This socializing thing, it's too much. It's caught up to me as well. Because I'm sick as fuck. But I don't like it. But I agree with Tim Robinson. I think friendship is overrated. And I think it harms you. Because what do you mean I just talk to people I like and now my body's like, I'm going to kill you? I see you having fun out there. Let me put an end to that. My body is my biggest op. I have this lifestyle I want to live and it's like, nope. I bet that's how stupid people feel, right? Stupid people with aspirations. They're like, I want so much more in life. And then their brain's like, good luck. We're not built for that. That multiplication test, right? The times tables. You do like 105 minutes or whatever. There's some second grader out there that probably is looking at that and is like, I want to really nail this. And its brain is like, good luck. I don't know what you're going to do that with. We don't have the, like, what is it called? We're not built for that. We don't have the infrastructure to handle this, okay? That is like their hot Cheeto to a sore throat. They want to eat the hot Cheeto, right? They want to do the multiplication test, but their body physically can't because they're too stupid. That's how I feel. I'm sick and stupid. But I think it's all my friends' faults, so I'm not going to see them ever again. Fuck them. They hurt me. They did this to me. It's not my own wrongdoing. But it's become too much. I need a break, right? This past weekend, this was my first weekend off in like 4 weeks, and it fucked me. My body was like, oh, you're here now. I'm like, yep, reporting for duty. And it's like, yeah, well, I'm not going to make this easy on you. I'm going to make you remember that you fucked up. I'm like, oh man, that's fucked up. Also, the entire time during Tim Robinson's movie, his character's name is Craig Waterman. So the entire time I kept thinking of Craig Robinson, which is Daryl from The Office. And then I kept being like, no, is that Tim Robinson's name? Is it Craig Robinson? So is he like keeping his real life first name? Because people do that, right? Like a lot of people will keep their first name in the show, but then have a different name. Isn't that what Will Smith did in Fresh Prince? And I know like Jeff Green in Curb Your Enthusiasm. His real name is Jeff, but it's like Garland or whatever. So there's a lot of characters, right? They keep their first name, but they have a different last name. And I think Will Smith talk about that, where it's a good idea for branding, because if your character becomes larger than life, larger than who you are, then people will know you as that. And if it has a different name, right, people will only refer to you as that. It's the same reason a lot of people probably call Rainn Wilson Dwight. Hey Dwight, how's it going? Right? If his name was Rainn Schrute, then people would all call him Rainn, which is his real name. But he's more known as Dwight, right? Like when he passes, not something I'm wishing on him, but when he inevitably reaches the finish line, right, there will be all those posts. Actor famous for Dwight Schrute, Rainn Wilson, has passed, surrounded by family. Reported by TMZ. And there will be a bunch of comments that will say, "Rip Dwight, Dwight, we missed you, we miss you." But these characters, they get around that by naming themselves with the first name. And that's why I kept getting fucked up by the whole movie. That wasn't the reason I started feeling sick throughout the movie, but every time he got called Craig, I'm like, wait, is his name Craig Robinson? No, it's Tim Robinson, right? I was like, Craig Robinson's a different guy. Anyways, I'm sick now, so who gives a shit? And I am sick, and I don't appear that gross. Maybe I sound a little gross. But I thought about, maybe I should, because, right, I was like, oh, I gotta record this podcast episode. But I was like, do I look presentable enough to do that? Do I want to put this version of myself on the camera? On the telly? In the public? And I was like, oh, I could always just like cover most of myself. My hair was really all in all kinds of sorts yesterday. And I was like, oh, I could fix that by like putting a hat on and putting a hoodie and then, pulling the strings of the hoodie. And then it covers all of my hair and most of my face. And I was like, would that hurt engagement or increase engagement, right? If someone saw that in a thumbnail, they clicked on it and they started listening, would they stick around or be deterred by that? Like if I had a hat and a hoodie on? I was like, because is that like weird enough to be interesting, but not so weird enough to like put someone off? And I was like, oh, this is exactly what happens with like very attractive people, right? On social media. We'll, be flipping through TikTok and maybe someone gorgeous will appear. And we'll stick around and hear them out because we're like, yeah, we'll see, right? What they have to say, but I'm just going to stick around to listen so I can look. And I was like, I wonder if there's a thing, right, that you could do. Like, I bet you could tailor your fashion to have the same effect. If you're fucking garish, you're ugly as fuck, there's probably stuff you could wear, right, that would demand attention the same way an attractive person demands attention. Because it doesn't matter what they're saying. You're like, oh, this is a nice view. I'll stick around. And I feel like there's probably a fine line, right? Not a happy medium, but there's a fine line to where some freak like me, right, could put on something interesting that would like demand the same attention like an attractive person would demand. Because someone would be like, I want to just stick around to see what's going on because it's interesting what it looks like. But I didn't do that because I realized, I took a shower, I flossed, brushed my teeth, and I was like, yeah, this is good enough. This is about what I always look like. Let's just put this out. And so here I am, coming together with you on this beautiful Monday to put this out once again. I'm sorry it's a short episode, but it's really, I guess, all I could do. I started watching a YouTube video earlier today. Halfway through, I got a headache just because it was too loud. But then if I lower the volume, I couldn't hear it. So if I increase the volume, then I get a headache. So I just went to sleep. And here we are, awake, presenting you with this beautiful product. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Next week, we'll be back to normal. You'll get some really cutting commentary from me, I promise. But until then, I hope you have a good one. Because I'm not. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you next week. Okay.